Take another internet question from our audience on the web. Kristen asks, short of the United States being involved militarily in Darfur, are there specific alternative interventions we can do? She lists cutting off aid to the countries that are supporting the oppressors. Is there a way to show the world that it is beneficial to them to stop the genocide? Madawi, well, what would you do? You talked about pressure on Khartoum just now. Can we work through other governments to pressure Khartoum, and how would you recommend we do that?
I think I might have different views on these issues, because for me, pressure for Khartoum government means pressure for Khartoum government. We have to differentiate between pressure on the country, making,
deals of trades.
Deals of trades or pressures on the individuals. For me, which is working is the individuals. The sanctions on the country is only led the way for countries like China to come in, support, invest, and then allow Khartoum to do whatever.
So sanctions don't work, you're saying?
It doesn't work on the country level. It works on individuals.
It punishes people, not regimes.
Yeah, it punishes people, it punishes not, and it doesn't punish the regime. And at the same time, it opened the way for countries like China to come in and then support the Sudanese government.
So how should we be putting that pressure on Khartoum that you've just mentioned? What's something practical we can do? How can Mr. Ranneberger pick up the phone tomorrow and put pressure?
Enforcing a no-fly zone. You can do that. This is one of the resolutions of the
a no-fly zone like we used to have in Iraq. You're talking about.
You can do this. If the Khartoum can be, forced not to fly by military helicopters or by military planes to Darfur. That
requires a military presence in Chad or somewhere to do that, which would be, since Chad is in the process of falling apart, it's quite complicated. There are other things that we can do. You mentioned China. Hu Jintao, the leader of China, is coming to this city. I believe it's on Thursday. He's meeting with the president. I know that we have said that we would like China's help, but the president has an opportunity quite visibly when the two of them are together, when they have the standard joint press conference, the president can turn to Hu Jintao and say, your major supply of foreign oil is from Sudan. You have been obstructing efforts to put international pressure on the government of Sudan for 5 years now.
But John, you know very well that Sudan, unfortunately, is not the only pressing situation in world affairs right now. And aren't we dependent on the Chinese in some case? For example, our diplomacy trying to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Aren't we limited in the extent to which we can say to a single other nation that is as powerful and important, a member of the Security Council like China, to press them so hard on a given issue when you need their help on another one?
Well, yes, you have to consider the full array of issues that are before us, but I think that if you just engage the world community, if you sort of put it out there in the open and you're talking two of them together. I mean, you're saying, we have a serious disagreement on Sudan that you are, in effect, you are facilitating the Sudanese government to continue on a path that is highly dangerous to millions of people in part of that country.
And if he did that, if President Bush did that when the President of China visits, what kind of cooperation could we expect from China at the UN Security Council on an issue of great importance like Iran?
Well, I think that in that case, too, they'd have to look at their own self-interest, as they will in this case. But I think the Chinese are sensitive to not only world opinion, but to the opinion of their own country, to the people in China itself. Part of it is you're seizing that opportunity in a non-military way to bring the issue before the broad world public.
Ambassador Renneberger,